So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with.
Dylan with my kid brother.
I asked them some questions to say about their upcoming album, Happy.Mad.Weird.Sad. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's super exciting. We've released a few singles so far and done some music videos as well. I think we've released 2 so far and just finished up 2 more. So super excited on those ones as well. But yeah, seems to be getting a good response and we're all really into it. So
Oh yeah, the album rocks.
Yeah.
I was just about to
Thank
say
you.
that word for word.
Appreciate it.
Album's amazing.
Yeah.
Glad you guys like it.
Of course. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
So I think the title is mainly
To trip
just
people
kind
up.
of like yeah. I think it was mainly just kind of encompassing like all of the motifs and kind of feelings jammed into this album. And then for the album art, I kind of wanted to capture all of those kind of emotions in one photo. Not necessarily photo, but kind of in an illustration. So a little kind of like demon weird guy on the front was my take on that. So
All right, nice.
yeah,
So can you tell us?
nothing terribly deep.
Fair enough. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
For this one, it was so our 2 singers, Christian and piano. They do a lot of the kind of like structure writing for these. So like songs like Shoulders was actually all piano for the most part. And the majority of the other ones, Christian will write out kind of on acoustic guitar and map them all out. And when he kind of feels like they're at a decent place or the concept has come together, he'll bring it to the band. And whether it's in practice or like in a recording studio or whatever, we'll all kind of absorb what he has and kind of try to all add our own little touches and things on top of it. But for this one, Christian and piano actually went out to the studio for I think a week or 2 before everyone else joined to just kind of knock out all of like the I guess like the skeletons of it, if you will, which was something we'd never done before, but actually ended up being like a really cool process, kind of going in there and trying to see like what we can build on top and around with the drums and bass and other guitars and stuff like that.
So the process starts with other members in the band, and so do you guys go into the studio with pretty much no ideas and like write songs from the beginning in the studio? Is that how it goes?
It's always a little different. For this one specifically, we had, since it was during COVID, it was kind of weird. So there was like a lot of Zoom sessions with the producer because we're on the East Coast. He was on the West Coast. So I know Christian did a lot of calls with him, kind of trying to work out a lot of like little kinks and stuff before we got to the studio. And I think we originally had like 30 something demos that we were working with.
Wow.
Just there was so much free time and so much material that we just basically sent our producer Eric this huge folder and was like, these are all the songs that we think could be cool. And he was just like, okay, well, so we kind of whittled it down to the ones we ended up actually taking to the studio. So we had a pretty good idea of what songs we were going to do and kind of like the rough layout of them going in. But Eric, the guy we worked with, was like super fun and creative. So like once we got in there, obviously a lot kind of changed and blossomed from, just all being there together and seeing what we could come up with. But we had a pretty good idea of the songs and the structure going into it for sure.
All right. Makes sense.
All right. And how do you guys approach like whittling down all of those demos and choosing which ones you bring into the studio? Does everybody like pick a handful and say, okay, I want these? Or is it kind of like a group voting type situation?
A little bit of both, which is super tough with 5 members, obviously with everyone with their own opinions and stuff. But I feel like once we all kind of get together and have a little courtroom session and people decide like why they want this one or why they want this one. We normally will all get on the same page pretty quickly about it. And then also taking into consideration like what the producer has to say. He's like, if we're like, oh, this song we think we definitely want to record, and he's like, I think you guys are sleeping on this one. Like this would be really good. So it's kind of just a big conversation between everyone, and it's been more difficult in the past. But I think for this one, we were all on board and kind of like we're excited about the choices. I don't feel like anyone was like had a song like left out that they were heartbroken about or anything like that.
That's good.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that's what I always worry about. Like, I feel like if I were in a band, I'd be like so angry. Like, no, I wanted that one, but obviously it's voted off. So,
right.
Yeah, but that's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ones you'll go into it with like you're like, there's no way this one can't make it. But then like once you start putting the work into the other ones, you're like, okay, I now see like what Christian was saying with this, or like what Richard was saying, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that would be a hard enough decision with like one person. So then you had like 5 people's opinions in there, and definitely makes it harder. But I feel like we can all get along pretty well with it and get on the same page.
That's good.
For sure. It's good. So what song off this album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Ooh, I don't know about which one took the longest. They were all kind of just simultaneously getting put together. It's hard to say. A song we're about to release called, what did it end up being called? Ended up called High Society. That one took a good amount of time just because it like changed and blossomed so much from the original demo. So I feel like that's probably the one we spent the most time in the studio working on, and we're all really excited about that one. But my favorite, probably Spilt Salt, which is the one we did like a kind of like a metalcore video for a couple months ago that got all sorts of interesting responses on the internet.
I'm sure the metalcore dudes love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of decided to just lean into it with that one because obviously we get a lot of interesting feedback being like a non-metal band on Fearless, and just like, you know, trolls in the comments and stuff being like, oh, great breakdown on like the song or whatever. So we're like, let's just do like the most metalcore classic standing in a warehouse video we can think of. And yeah, we just leaned into it with that one, which was a lot of fun.
That's fucking awesome.
And we actually kind of took a little more of like a horror gory approach on this new one that's coming out in about a week now as well. So it's been kind of fun to like take that kind of brutal visuals and put it on like kind of like softer songs.
Better watch out for those Ice Nine Kill ripoff comments.
I knew you were gonna say that.
We were thinking about that because the guy was like, let's just make like a whole horror movie, and we all got super excited about it. We're like, well,
we're on the same label as Ice Nine Kills. Fuck.
Dang it.
Yeah, this one is pretty much a straight horror film though. It's got like a lot of like song breaks and music breaks with like a narrative going.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
And it was super fun to film and possibly more gory than the last one we released.
Okay,
that's
I'm
so
stoked.
Cool. For your next one, you got to get a Spencer cameo, man. That'd be so sick.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what we can do with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So had the track list for the album come about, did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer, just shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Shuffled around and see what fits. Since it wasn't really written as like these songs exactly for this album, since it was kind of like, you know, picked out from this massive Google Drive folder of demos we had. I feel like once we recorded it and then like had like all the mixes back, we like kind of shuffled around and all sat together and listened to see what works and what doesn't. You know, what would try to grab people right off the first song and stuff like that.
Makes
but
sense.
Nothing was necessarily written for any certain placement in the album. But I feel like it all works well together.
Yeah, flows well.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
I feel like we were all in a super weird headspace because this kind of did hit maybe about like 6 months into COVID, maybe, or at least like kind of when it at least first started, is when a lot of the songs started getting kind of put together. So we were all super excited to be recording a new album and writing new music, but there was also like the contrast of, soon as we signed to this label and like had all these tours booked, and like everything shut down like right before we were about to go. So it was like almost like, we're so bummed that everything we've been working for isn't happening, but then at the same time, like it's not like never gonna happen, so we're still excited for the future. So it was like this very weird mixed emotions, on top of just like regular jobs and family and friends. That whole dynamic, also the band dynamic, was super, just a very weird time to sign to a record label and start the whole touring career. So
absolutely,
I guess that's kind of a little bit of where all the Happy.Mad.Weird.Sad
definitely curious, and don't want to put you on the spot. You can go as far in depth with this as you want, but you said you guys kind of had your touring year kind of booked out. I'm interested as like how far booked out you guys were, and like maybe you can tell us a band or two that you were scheduled to tour with. I don't know.
So it wasn't like a whole year's worth, but we had a tour booked with Angels and Airwaves, which would have been like our first big tour. And like we were right on the verge of being able to like announce it. Obviously we're all excited to go from playing like 200 to 300 cap rooms to like these,
10 times that
huge theaters with like this like awesome band. And so yeah, like that was all confirmed and ready to go. And then like people started, like the emails came in like, looks like things might get shut down, these tours might not happen. And we're like, oh no. So it got rescheduled for like a couple months out. We're like, all right, well that sucks. And then obviously, as everyone knows, it took about 2.5 years until it actually happened. But the upside was we did end up getting to play a bunch of shows with them almost a year ago now. Yeah, last fall.
Yeah, that was going to be my thing. I was like, didn't you guys wind up playing at least some of that tour?
Yeah.
Nice.
Which ended up being such a cool tour. And they were super cool. The Bad Sons dudes were super cool.
That sounds awesome.
Just it was a super fun tour, and we were all excited that it ended up happening. We're like not necessarily expecting it after 2.5 years. Like I'm sure it's dissolved and that one won't come together, but luckily it did. It was super fun.
It's awesome. Hell yeah. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Oh man, that's tough. I wouldn't think of it as a workout album, but I guess you could work out to whatever you want. I think it's like a more upbeat album, minus like one super sad, depressing song. That's I always think a car. I think a car is like the best way to listen to an album for the first time, or headphones. But yeah, I think something about like just driving around listening to something front to back always has like a good energy to kind of just play it as loud as you want and drive around and see what you think.
I agree.
But I would say the vinyl, but those are backed up a while, so you'd have to wait a while to listen to it for the first time.
2023.
Yeah. Oh my God. So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
I'm so bad at this stuff. I would say that's a roller coaster.
Okay.
Very vulnerable.
Okay.
And say accessible.
Ooh.
That's
very
good.
I feel like it's
very good.
Yeah, there's definitely I know Christian like definitely really, really put himself out there on a few songs, more than he has in the past. And it turned out really, really good. And so yeah, it's definitely, we had some older songs that aren't on the internet anymore that kind of had that kind of vulnerability. So it's kind of nice to have that back out there again. And I think a lot of people are really going to like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they will.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Not necessarily. I guess kind of just open-minded and whatever makes you feel makes you feel. I feel like a lot of times when someone will think like a song means this, but it really means something else. Like you almost kind of don't want to tell them what it's really about because like their meaning sounds so much cooler. It's like, whatever it makes you feel or what you think it's about or however you connect to it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this album?
Probably the recording process. It was really cool to do a lot of the writing actually in the studio with a producer, which a lot of the past EP we got to do some, but that one was almost like fully fleshed out. Like we went in there and like just recorded our parts. So like all being together and actually kind of being in that creative space in the studio with not a complete blank slate, but enough that we knew that like we're going to go into the space and see what happens. And I just think like a lot of really cool things happened out of that wouldn't have necessarily happened if we all were like writing it in the bedroom or writing it in the practice space. I feel like it was like this really cool kind of like old 70s studio in California with like like the old wooden walls and like the shag carpet kind of feel.
Oh, yeah.
It was just cool going to like an old kind of studio and all getting to hang out and see what happens. It was fun.
That's sick.
Love that. Yeah.
So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
We're a big Cracklins band.
Oh.
Which I think most of us didn't really eat until we started touring, and it just started off kind of as a joke, and then I think we all now just kind of continue to get them every time we're at a gas station, and just do like little in-van reviews. Also a big candy band. Christian's super. Every time I go into a gas station, he walks out with at least 6 or 7 different kinds of candy.
He has his priorities.
Yeah, big candy band.
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah.
All right.
Shane, I saw your face. Do you not know what Cracklins are?
No.
Would you like to explain what they are?
Yeah, it's like there's no way to describe them and make them sound good, but
yeah,
it's basically it's like fried pork. It's like pork rinds. I think it's the same thing as pork rinds. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It's like fried pork skin, I think.
Yeah. Sounds gross. Looks gross.
Yeah.
There's no way to romanticize it.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys filling me in on that.
Of course. So actually, on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Ramen.
Okay.
Like we really like ramen, and we did like a video where we made our own little recipe, put it on YouTube, like a little cooking video.
Yeah.
So I'll go with that. Whole bunch of different ingredients and different things in one bowl.
Okay.
There you go.
Nice.
Perfect.
So for the last couple of questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
I'd probably go pizza.
Okay.
I know it's boring.
No, that's all right.
No, it's good.
I feel like pizza and like a cherry Coke. Just something kind of trashy and fun.
Cherry Coke.
Okay. What toppings do you have on that pizza?
Probably just pepperoni.
Ooh, classic.
Yeah. Nice, clean, simple pepperoni pizza.
Nice.
There you go. Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure it would taste good after however long I was sitting in jail.
I'm sure it will. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Damn, this would be a Christian question.
We actually asked Christian this question like 2 years ago. Don't remember what he said, but
yeah, he's definitely more in tune with the fantasy and the I'll tip my hat to him and do Swiss Army Man because we both really like that movie.
All right.
It's a weird and fun environment.
Sounds good. All right.
Perfect.
So I have it on there. I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
A forest green.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That's
like a
good.
question in
I was gonna
response to
say-
a
Mustard.
question.
Or
Like a
mustard.
mustard yellow or a forest green.
Okay,
Okay.
Kind of bounce back into depending on what day it is.
fair enough.
Okay. That's fair. I'll take it.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Check out the album. We're going on tour at the end of October with the Dangerous Summer, and Lake Pacific. That's gonna be a super fun tour. We're hitting most cities for that, so come out to that. It's gonna be fun.
Hell yeah.
And hear some new songs. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Well,
Perfect.
thank you for now. It's been Dylan from My Kid Brother, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.